Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. One of Canada's most active developers of legacy industrial properties has completed the acquisition of the former Prince Albert pulp mill. Ontario-based BMI Group, known for its work redefining how mill and manufacturing sites can attract new industries and investment, announced the purchase of the property on Wednesday. The property occupies 2,331 acres with more than 900,000 square feet of industrial building space, rail access, and up to 130 megawatts of available power. Both BMI and the Mayor of Prince Albert suggesting the facility will likely be repurposed to support the next generation of resource, energy, and bioeconomies. BMI did not announce the cost to purchase the former pulp mill. The defense has wrapped its case in a Saskatoon murder trial. Andrew Rosenfeld is accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend, 20-year-old Nakira Brown. Brown was shot in the head on November 15th, 2022, inside the apartment she shared with Rosenfeld. The defense argues Brown died by suicide. Two police officers took the stand, one who responded to a prior suicide attempt and another who said Brown once called police herself and wanted to go to the hospital. With both the Crown and defense's case closed, closing arguments are scheduled for next week. Saskatoon is out with its preliminary budget for the next 2 years. The nearly 300-page document highlights proposed city spending and sets the stage for some difficult budget deliberations at the end of the month. Administration is pitching an increase of 8.2% next year, with the expectation council will lower that number. Aside from inflation and population growth, the police budget going up by more than 8% is putting additional pressure on city expenses.
This is not administration's wish list budget. It's what we think is the minimum cost to maintain the services we have today.
Between 2021 and 2024, Saskatoon's population grew by more than 33,000, or roughly the size of Moose Jaw. The Humboldt Broncos are teaming up off the ice to donate blood and help save lives. Team members visited the Canadian Blood Services Donation Centre in Saskatoon today as part of a national campaign encouraging group donations. The Broncos head coach says it's a meaningful team-building experience and a way to honor the life-saving role blood donation played after the 2018 bus crash.
There were so many people that helped out during that crash time that we got to do our part now, you know, and it's no matter what, that's never going to change.
Canadian Blood Services says about 5,000 appointments need to be filled each month in Saskatchewan to meet hospital demand and encourages the public to consider donating. Premier Scott Moe says he intends to lead his party into the 2028 provincial election. The Premier made the comment prior to his first leadership review since winning last fall's provincial election. A leadership vote will come at his party's weekend convention in Saskatoon. The Saskatchewan Party won the 2024 election by a narrowed majority of 7 seats over the NDP. Moe says work has begun on winning back urban support. So parts of Saskatchewan starting to see that snow a little bit, Jeff. Some others maybe still waiting, aren't they? Exactly.
Well, Saskatoon has not had much in the way of precipitation. A little light rain this morning. Different situation, though, for Prince Albert. It's been snowing since about 6 this morning. Throw in some light freezing rain into that. And, of course, I suspect the roads are a bit on the slippery side in the Gateway City. But there is that big Alberta clipper that we've been talking about for the last couple of days. It is cycling around. It doesn't seem like it's clipping so fast right now. But we do anticipate this is going to clear off. But another one is going to come through tomorrow, or rather overnight into tomorrow, so we'll have all those details later on.
Saskatchewan is negotiating with the federal government on extending the $10 a day childcare program.
We want to make sure that we make some improvements on the existing deals. So the current child care agreements brought a number of benefits to families, to communities, and to the entire child care sector. But we identified in terms of some of the feedback that we've been hearing from people, some changes that need to be made. So we're trying to negotiate those, and I won't get into a lot of the finer details, but just as an example, like one of the things I'd asked about was for kids that turn age 6 and technically age out of the program, it's different here than it is in, say, for example, Manitoba, where their age out is at age 7. So that was kind of a common sense thing as one example that we wanted to get changed, but there's some other things there that we think would benefit Saskatchewan families and the child.
Education Minister Everett Hindley says he had a virtual meeting with Patty Hajdu on Friday and is now confident they can get an extension signed by the end of the calendar year. The current agreement is set to expire at the end of March. The Supreme Court says it will hear appeals in a challenge of the Saskatchewan government's school pronoun law. The law means children under the age of 16 can only change their names or pronouns at school with parental consent. Premier Scott Moe's government invoked the Charter's notwithstanding clause in the 2023 legislation. A Regina group says the rule causes irreparable harm to gender-diverse youth. The government argues parents should be involved in their children's decisions at school. Earlier this year, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal ruled the group's challenge can continue, while the government argues that the challenge should be thrown out due to the use of the notwithstanding clause.
It's good. We asked for them to hear the appeal, and they're going to hear it. So we'll see what the result of that is.
Section 33 is there for that elected government to exercise with their discretion to allow them to pass laws that may otherwise be in contravention of charter rights. It's not there for judicial interpretation. It's there for democratic use.
Both sides of the challenge are asking the Supreme Court to hear the case alongside a challenge of a Quebec law that prevents public sector workers from wearing religious symbols on the job, given Quebec also invoked the notwithstanding clause on that policy. A hearing date has not been set at this point. Yorkton's annual Harvest Showdown has the best in stock dogs taking over the Westland Arena. Virginia DeClute has more.
This is not a stock dog. This one is. And the canine is competing at Yorkton's Harvest Showdown.
By the time you get to open, you got 2-3 years of training on the dog, and you should be ready to compete at that level.
So what makes the good stock dog?
So they have what we call quiet power, where there's a conversation going on between the dog and the stock just through eye contact and body movement and gestures that the dog is establishing. I'm the predator, you're the prey. When I say move, start moving.
Initially, Vermette looked at the dogs as tool, but then he wanted to show them off.
It's more or less a bragging competition, and which is how dog trials started in Scotland. It was, a couple guys sitting in the pub, and I got the best dog, and they're like, okay, prove it, bring him to town, let's see.
Now it's become a serious sport. At the Harvest Showdown cattle trial, the dogs needed to herd livestock into a pen in under 3 minutes.
Yeah, it looks great. The team set up the panels, and we have the stock waiting to come into the arena, and I think it'll be a good show. Lots of competitors came out today, so yeah, looking forward to it.
The stock dog competition is just one of the many events taking place at the Harvest Showdown.
What we like to say about Harvest Showdown is that there's something for everyone. We have dogs, we have horses, we have cattle. I think that this really draws a crowd. There are people that love to see this stuff run, and we're just happy to put it on and support our community here.
The competition continues on Friday, while the showdown runs until Saturday, capping off with a barn dance Saturday night. Virginia DeClute, CTV News, Yorkton.
When we come back, Mike and Lyle talk about outdoor safety. Now that winter weather has arrived, what to keep in mind and in your kit to enjoy the outdoors.
Well, here we are at Parkland Ambulance with the one and only Lyle Karasik talking about winter safety. And before we get into the ATVs and the sleds and all of the fun activities, we got to talk about planning and preparing so that we're safe, whatever we're doing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us today, Mike. We appreciate that very much. We want folks to remember that these things like sleds and ATVs are commonplace, whether you're a recreational enthusiast or a utility person who needs it for farm life, they're commonplace. But a little bit of planning each and every day is going to go a long way to helping you stay safe and prevent probably someone from having to search for you if something does go wrong. And that's what we want folks to do. We think commonplace, if you're a young person on the farm, you jump on this, you head out on the field with your buddies, and away you go. But why don't you tell someone where you're going? How long are you going to be? Which direction are you generally going? Our hunters use these frequently to go hunting, same sort of thing. Our recreational enthusiasts in the summer months, exactly that. A little bit of planning helps a long way to knowing where you are, what general direction you went, what time will you be back, so if something does go wrong, even a simple mechanical breakdown, somebody knows generally where to start.
let's talk about some of the gear that we should always have and not maybe to take these machines that we use in the winter for granted.
Absolutely, Mike. Well, the most important thing, whether you're on a sled or the ATV, is the helmet. Proper fitting helmet, one that is going to give you that protection, is essential. Whether you're just out for a recreational ride or you are using it as a service vehicle, the helmet is important. Then start to think about where you're going. In the summer months, you're not going to put on the big coat and, the big boots and, the long pants. But those things are still just as important summer in terms of long pants and gloves and shirt as they are in the winter when you got to don the extra layers of coat. So you got to think about those things. And wearing proper gear is going to prevent you from scrapes, bruises, rips, and tears. But it's also going to be helpful if this thing breaks down and you are stuck somewhere. You better be prepared. So that also means, do I have a first aid kit? Do I have my cell phone? Is it fully charged? Do I have a small little axe along, maybe if I can chop some wood, build a fire? And most importantly, if I do break down, stay where you are. I know that's often hard for people because they see something off in the distance. And I know we talk about this, if your car breaks down and it's wintertime, don't go heading across the field because you might trip, fall, you don't know what the terrain's like. Same with these gadgets. Stay where you are, build some shelters, get some help, and do your best to sort of fight off the elements.
No doubt about it. Yeah, and of course, as we talked earlier, if you tell people where you're going, when you're going to be back, then eventually, in the event of trouble, the search party knows where to start that search. But layers are important, and really like that point about just staying put. We've got ourselves dressed. We've got our helmet on. We've taken care of all the layers. We've told somebody where we're going, how long we're going to be there, and then something bad actually happens and we need to spring into action. Lyle Karasik, tell me what we need to do to kind of triage if something happens out bad.
Well, Mike, we want to give people some basic first aid guidelines of what to carry. Something that's small and compact that you can drop into a storage compartment on your ATV or on your sled, or throw into your backpack, or even stuff in a pocket for that matter. It's really not that big. We need something to control the bleeding. Obviously, something tragic happens. If it's really severe, a tourniquet is something that's going to be life-saving. Some basic gauze, really simple and small and compact. Something to stay warm with. You can pick these up. They're just little survival. These foil blankets are essential, and you can, they're not very big. And something to use as a splint. If you're not going to be that guy who can cut down a tree limb and do something fancy, something compact like this, which is moldable and easy to use, is going to be life-saving, and it's going to mean the difference between you helping someone or making the difference in their outcome should something really bad happen while you're out on the trail.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And obviously, you can't plan for that. So the best course of action is to have all of this stuff. And if you're not comfortable using it, maybe take a course.
Absolutely. Take a first aid course. And these are simple ideas that you can not only take with you when you're on the sled or on the ATV or whatever. Throw this, if you're an avid hiker, throw this in a backpack. Really simple, small stuff that doesn't take a lot of room, and it's essential for you to have for those first aid emergencies. And like you said, always take a course. If you're not interested or can't take a course, then go on YouTube or some other social media platform. There's lots of people doing tips.
There you go. Knowledge is power, and we want you to have a powerful ride, not just on your machine.
Jeff looks at weather and how much snow we can expect over the next few days, and later a report outlines discrimination in the healthcare system. So, Jeff, how many days are we going to be shoveling before the Mother Nature takes care of some of the snow that's on its way into our lives here?
Well, as we often like to say, it depends. We've got ourselves, obviously, more substantive snow in Prince Albert than in some other locations in the province. So, yes, it looks like, I know we've seen pictures of places around Paradise Hill. It's like there's a lot of snow out there. So, with these temperatures we've got, yes, you're probably going to have to clean off your sidewalks and get some of that dealt with. But we do have plus plus temperatures in the forecast as early as Monday. So that is something to keep in mind as well. So you may not have to go full tilt boogie on your snow clearing. There is the big low pressure area, that Alberta clipper that has been making its way through, but another one is going to start forming up, and it'll take a slightly southerly track. In fact, it's going to sort of loop around and slide into the Great Lakes region. So maybe not so impactful for Saskatchewan, but still, we're going to keep our eye on all of that. And of course, we've got lots of rain out in Canada's west coast. Could be kind of a soggy situation out there. Let's take a look at this futurecast. Well, there you go. That one system gets out of the way, but then right behind it, another one. So there's not much of a gap in between. We sort of have looks about maybe 3 or 4 hours before another set of storms slides into Saskatchewan. So, but as I mentioned, it looks like it's going to be much more of a southerly situation as that system slides into areas into the southwest and south central part of the province in the next 24 hours. We've got ourselves some flurries expected in the Spiritwood area. That's true of the Battlefords roster. In fact, most of these areas are dealing with flurries or snow tapering off in the overnight period. 12 on the minus side for Spiritwood, -8 in the Battlefords, -14 in Candle Lake, -13 in Birch Hills and Melfort, -12 in Rostern, and -16, a cold -16 in Nipawin. Tomorrow, temperatures are below seasonal. I know we haven't said that a lot lately, but we're saying it for tomorrow. -8 in Spiritwood, cloudy skies, cloudy and -5 in the Battlefords, -8 in Candle Lake, -7 in Birch Hills, cloudy conditions in those locations, mainly cloudy in Rostern, a bit of sunshine poking through the cloud deck, -8 degrees. A similar situation for Nipawin, but with a temperature of -7 and cloudy and -7 in Melfort on Friday. Now on to the details for Prince Albert. So tonight, flurries tapering off tonight, winds out of the northeast 20, but backing off as we get through the overnight period. But the temperature's really dropping off. Yes, I think last night's overnight temperature was around -7. Today we're looking at -13. And then tomorrow, -7 degrees for a daytime high, so about 6 degrees below seasonal, mainly cloudy skies, and winds out of the east at 10. And here we go with the 7-day forecast for the Gateway City. So -6 degrees on Saturday, and then -3 on Sunday. So no melting of any consequence happening until Monday. But then look at Monday, 4 degrees with mainly cloudy skies, staying mainly cloudy, but warming up to 6 degrees on Tuesday. And Wednesday and Thursday, mainly cloudy both days, and both days expected to have daytime highs of 2.
So the first real snow of the year is the perfect time for a hockey team to head west, and that's exactly what the Prince Albert Raiders are doing. They've started the longest road trip of the season, a U.S. Division swing that started with a pit stop in Lethbridge last night.
Here's Kostiuk into the middle. He fires, he scores.
Kostiuk scores early in the second period, his second of the season, and that wound up being the game winner. Prince Albert edging the Hurricanes 2-1 as they've got now 4 points in 14 straight games, including 11 wins. They head to Spokane to face the Chiefs on Friday. A new report focusing on the experience of black women in the healthcare system paints a disturbing picture of the impact of racial discrimination. Pauline Chan has more.
Transforming and shifting.
The report is called Voices Unheard, and it's the first Canadian survey ever of black women and girls focusing on health.
I have lived with dark and dangerous thoughts for approximately 3 years.
The researchers collected the experiences of almost 2,000 women and girls in Canada, and there were clear themes. 2/3 felt their health concerns were frequently dismissed, and 42.4% had delayed or avoided health care due to fears of how they would be treated as a black woman. Nadia Thompson has been dealing with complex chronic conditions for 4 years.
They did not necessarily consider that what I was feeling was really affecting my quality of life. So there might have been some comments about me needing to just lose weight or change some of my other habits.
U of Calgary professor Bukola Salami says concrete evidence of the consequences is there.
In the US and UK, that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. In Canada, we keep it sealed. we don't collect the data.
She's calling for the collection of race-based data in Canada.
We need more resources in this area to really actually unravel, because if we don't collect the data, if we don't analyze the data, publish the results, we're never going to be able to find a solution.
Thompson says one solution for her was finding a doctor who happened to be Black and who listened to her experiences.
I think a lot of it comes with that bias that maybe we are strong or strong enough to manage what we're dealing with on our own without getting that support. And that can come from many different places where those assumptions come from, but I think sometimes that prevents them from taking us seriously.
And she says the impact is not just on the individual patient, but on their family, their workplace, and ultimately Canadian society as a whole if a person is not able to live a full and successful life. You can find the complete Voices Unheard report through the Black Women's Institute for Health. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Brought to you by Saskatchewan Union of Nurses. Thank you to Saskatchewan's 11,000 registered nurses.
Getting into the spirit of playoff football, Jeff Gaynor the Gopher joined Premier Scott Moe for a special announcement this morning. Tomorrow, November 7th, has been proclaimed Green and White Day. Saskatchewan residents are encouraged to wear green and white to cheer on the Rough Riders, who are playing the BC Lions in the West Final on Saturday at Mosaic Stadium. Following the announcement, there was a flag raising outside the Legislative Building.
We can do our part as Saskatchewan residents by, really showing our support. Showing our support not only for our Rough Riders but for the CFL, but showing our support as well for a victorious game and a winning game for our team on Sunday.
The winner of Saturday's game will advance to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg on Sunday, November 16th. And I got to see here, what number is he wearing there, Premier Moe? Is that, Jeff, is that number 18? Who's that?
Looks like number 18. Hey, it's number 18. Billy Baloney.
There you go. I don't know.
From Baloney State.
I'm going to admit I don't know who wears number 18, but here we'll have to ask the fans.
Weston Dressler, I don't know.
There you go. We'll have to ask because I don't watch Blue Jays baseball. It didn't work out. We'll have to get the fans to write in and say, should I watch this game on
Yes,
Saturday?
You should.
On Sunday, I should.
Absolutely. It's not a jinx. Come on.
There you go. It's been decided. Football I can watch, so I'll be watching on Sunday.